All right, welcome back to Eyes Open Media. I haven't done a video on Eyes Open Media in a while, so I'm going to do one today, and it's a big one. It's China's biggest yuan rate move in 11 years. Once again, China's biggest yuan. The yuan is the RMB, the renminbi, the currency of China. Okay, the rate is what it's worth. Okay, it says a move in 11 years. Okay. So it says China has raised the exchange rate for its currency, the yuan, by 0.56% against the US dollar in previous days. Okay, the central now this is remember China last year from August and September and October were devaluing. They did about 6 to 8 devaluations on their currency from between August to October, which was getting them in position to join the SDRs. Okay, and now October they're going to be activated in the SDRs. So here we go with revaluations. Okay, so last year they were devaluing. This year they're revaluing. Okay, so it looks like we might see several revaluations from the Chinese. Excuse me from shaking the table. We might see several revaluations from the Chinese before they enter the activate their in them in the SDRs. This year could be the total opposite. Okay, so we see that China revalues their currency a little bit here, okay, in the last couple of days. So it's been going up. Okay. Let's see here. So the central bank, the People's Bank of China, the PBOC, fixed the yuan rate at 6.4589 to the US dollar on Friday. That is the biggest increase in nearly 11 years. China only allows the yuan to rise or fall 2%. Okay, so it has their market based fixed rate of up and down 2%. Okay, so like the Vietnamese dong can go up and down 3% up and down per day, no more than 3% up and down. Okay, now of course they can always change that and revalue it to a certain price and then continue their managed float of 2-3% up and down. Okay, so you can always revalue your currency even though you might have a managed float like China does here. In Vietnam, you can always revalue it and then continue your managed float. Okay. So China only allows the yuan to rise or fall 2% for either side on the PBOC's daily fix to avoid volatility and maintain control over the Chinese currency. Analysts have pointed out the move is not a reflection of future yuan policies. Okay. They said that about the devaluation, and this devaluation had nothing to do with the future. We're just doing it for one time. Then boom, they did six. They did about 6 or 7 more. Okay, so could be for something coming. Analysts have pointed. Okay, we already talked about that. Okay, it says some have argued the PBOC's move is a knee-jerk reaction to the U.S. dollar weakness overnight. The U.S. dollar had fallen sharply against the yen after the Bank of Japan surprised markets and decided against an extra monetary easing. Okay. Yeah, because Japan's getting killed with QE. They're doing QE. Japan is doing QE. London, Europe was doing QE and are doing QE. Once all these people stop doing QE, it's going to be America's turn. And America's QE, which is going to be QE4, is going to be the biggest QE in the history of mankind. Okay? It's going to be every single body's QE anybody that's ever done QE. It will be every country's QE combined. Okay, basically. And that will be the end of the dollar. Okay, so like I've told people in the past, once you see QE4, if you're still in America, and you see QE4, you're in big trouble. Okay, so those that are going to be staying in America, Once you see QE4, you know. I mean, you're probably already going to see massive signs that you're in big trouble, as we do now, but it's going to get even bigger. And then when they do QE4, that's the end. It's over, okay? The American dream is over. Everything is over. QE4 is it. Okay, there is nothing after that. America's dollar will be destroyed. The economy will be destroyed. Everything will be destroyed. Of course, God said He's not going to allow us to be a third world country, but He'll put us into a second world. Okay, we'll become a second world country. We will lose our power in America as the number one dominant country. We will become a second world country after QE4. QE4 is going to be a lot. I mean, a lot of dollars are going to be flying back into America and returning back into America after QE4 as well. Inflation is going to go through the roof. There won't be any food will be scarce and scarce. There will be a lot of riots and a lot of craziness. Okay. Um, and a lot of you guys have already seen that in movies. That they've predicted it already. QE4 is going to bring a lot of craziness to America, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people that make those type of movies. They're later killed quickly. Okay, and the movies still come out on DVD and things of that nature, but it usually never hits the movie theater. Only some of them have hit the movie theater. Most of the people have been killed. Okay, that's because QE4 is the signal that that your American dream is over. American dream's over now, but it'll be completely over once they begin QE4, which Janet Yellen has to do. She is going to have no choice but to do QE4 because there is no recovery, and everything she's been saying has been a lie. Okay. Um. Okay, let's see here. It says that the expectation for a stronger Yuan fix was laid by the gains for the yen after the Bank of Japan announcement, said Patrick Bennett, a strategist at Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce in Hong Kong. I didn't even know Hong Kong was an island. Japan is an island too, I think. Okay, so China spooked global investors with a surprise devaluation in August last year. Oh yeah, I talked about that. When it guided the currency down by nearly 5% in a week. And then they did massive devaluations last year. I think this year they might do massive revaluations. Um, Okay, let me see what it says here. It says Asian markets lower. It says market reaction to the move, however, has been mute. Shanghai Composite Index closed down 7.26 points at 2,938.32, while the Hang Seng Index ended the day down 320.98 points at 21,067.05. South Korea's Kospi index closed down 0.3% at 1,994.15. Damn, everything's down. Okay. And in Australia, the benchmark S&P ASX 200 headed higher towards the end of the trading session and closed up 0.5% at 5,252.22. The region's biggest market, Japan, was shut on Friday for the national holiday. The benchmark Nikkei 225 index ended the shortened trading week down 5%. Okay, so there you have it. China's biggest yuan rate move in 11 years. Okay, um, so will China continue to revalue their currency this year? I got a strong belief that they might. Especially that the mainstream media for the last 6 months have been saying, "Oh my God, China's going to be devaluing like crazy this year, and we need to hold on to the dollar." I was like, "Okay, I know that's a lie. I know that's a lie from the pit of hell." So, China could be doing several revaluations right before they activate them into the SDRs. Okay, so watch out for China. They could start to revalue and start to strengthen their currency now. Okay, as they know that the dollar is weakening, they might start to strengthen their currency. We're also looking for South Korea to start to make some moves. on their reforms on their currency. We're looking for Indonesia, Rapaya to continue to do their reforms and do their things and start to grab as much gold as they can. We're looking for Iran to re-enter the global market economy and stop the devaluation of their currency and revalue to somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to do. They might do a one-time move to 30 cents. We don't know what Iran is going to look like. Okay, Iran could come out and say, "Boom, we're 30 cents to the dollar." Okay, we don't know. Iran could come out and say 1 to 1 to the dollar. They could say 3 cents to the dollar. We don't know. We don't know what Iran's gonna do, or they can come out and say 3,000 to 1, and then from 3,000 to 1, we free float it up. We don't know. Okay, but we know that they're not going to stay at 30,000 plus. I mean, and keep devaluing. It's just not going to happen. If the Bible says they're going to return to come back to Persia days. Okay, so as the time it was in Noah, so shall it be when the Son of God returns. So when back in those days, Persia was powerful. Iraq was wealthy, and back in the biblical days. So if that has to come back before the Son of Man comes back, which is Jesus Christ, the Messiah, then we know that Iran has to return back close to Persia days, and Iraq has to be wealthy as well. Okay, that's just plain and simple. And the East has to be the wealth. Okay, because when back in the biblical days, the East of the West, the East had the wealth, not the Western world. No one even knew about the Western world. Okay, there was people living, Mexicans and blacks and Indians living in America, but no one knew of America. Okay, no one knew of Europe. Okay, until later on. It was only Africa and the Middle East. Okay, so people didn't really know about South America and things of that nature. Okay, so so the Eastern world had all the wealth. Eastern world had all the gods and the kings and the pharaohs and the gold and silver. So when the Lord says that, or when God says that that the end days before His Son Yeshua returns is going to look like back in the no in the days of the biblical days, then we know that the Eastern world is going to return to its wealth and return to its gold and silver, just like it was before, back in those days. And now it's going to happen just like it's happening now. And as we see China, we're going to see Iran explode. We're going to see Iraq explode, Vietnam explode. Everything is happening like as the Eastern world shifts back to its wealth, just like it did in the biblical days. Okay, and the Western world will be in debt and bankrupt. Okay, and the Western world will start to collapse, because in the days back in the biblical days, the Western world had no power, had no wealth. Okay, it was all in the Eastern world. So if you're looking at the Bible, you already know the Eastern world is coming back into power, and this has to happen before the Son of Man returns. Okay, for the bride, and returns to end all things. Right. So it's kind of interesting that this is playing itself out as we see China becoming the world dominant country now, and America starting to bow down to China, and China starting to buy up a lot of things in America, and the Western world starts to crumble under its debt in this quantitative easing, and you see how Russia is building its army and things of that nature and working with China. And then you also see North Korea doing all the threats they're doing. And we're going to see South Korea come up. We're going to see Indonesia. We're going to see Iran come into full power. Close to, they're going to be very, very powerful. Not as powerful as China and Russia, but they're going to be very, very powerful in Iran. And Iraq will be wealthy. They're not going to be powerful, but they'll be wealthy that people bow to Iraq. Okay, because there's how much wealth they're going to be having. They're going to have Dubai wealth. You know what I mean? Dubai really doesn't have wealth. There's people from around the world that go into Dubai and make it look like it is. Dubai has debt. Okay, but That's how Iraq's gonna look like, though. Iraq's gonna look very, very nice. Okay, so that's it for me. China's biggest one rate move in 11 years. Not surprised. The Eastern world is coming into power, and the Western world is crumbling under its feet. All right, so that's it. Eyes open. Talk to you guys next time. Peace out. Salute.